Good morning or afternoon, YouTubers and Facebookers and Twitters and whatever. This is Soul Wolf, Z01, Kristen Simmons, whatever other screen name you guys, whatever other screen name I have going on. I'm just about ready to head off for work, but I also want to talk about, go ahead and talk about some of the MTK processors that are out on the market now. A lot of these people, they look at these Chinese phones and they're saying they're clones and they're rip-off. I've had one clone problem ever since I've had them. Oh god, it's a let's see if I can find the thing. I'll be right just back. There it is. It's one of the Note 3 clones. This one right here has got problems right now. The board I guess either is bricked or it is actually boot checking, which is keeping me from actually booting up the phone. It won't even turn on, as you can see. It just sits there. But what had happened is the side of the screen had come off. Basically, it was actually my own doing because I dropped the damn thing. So the screen had popped off, and it ever since then just started acting worse and worse and worse. You touch the screen, it would eventually, the screen would go fuzzy, and then it just died. So I'm not going to bash them on this because this was actually user error. And the same thing would happen with your iPhones and Samsungs have dropped from like 5, from body length height. It didn't crack the screen. It didn't crack the screen or phone. The phone, was fine. I'm sure if they used proper glue or whatever, adhesive, it probably would have stayed fine. The problem I want to say is you do get what you pay for. This is a $150 phone, so you do get what you pay for. However, when I had it and it was running, it was a great phone. I had no problems. Had 3G capability. 3G++ in some places, that's equivalent to 42 megabits per second. Not a bad phone, so I'm definitely going to order another one of these, and I want to be careful with it. I'm going to keep this one because the parts are still good, still valuable, and they're actually sellable. A lot of people buy these brick phones. Believe it or not, I could get 50, 60 bucks out of it. Not bad. Right now, I'm rocking a Star N9000. That's another variant. This phone right here is great. I have no problems except for previously, this is my own fault. I accidentally was fiddling around with my Bell Prop settings. I tried to change my SIM card. I tried to disable the secondary SIM slot because it was flagging up no SIM card detected in the secondary slot. And I have one in here. It's a T-Mobile. It is what it is. Yeah, a T-Mobile, just to say on clone phones, you are going to be capped at 2 to 3G. You're not going to be able to go, get the really good speeds. But, again, honestly, most people have Wi-Fi nowadays. There's Wi-Fi everywhere. I mean, shit, you go down the road, you can just find a Wi-Fi. So, no big deal. This phone, however, is really good. The specs on a little MTK 6582 processor. It's 1.3 gigahertz. I think this one actually is a slightly higher clock. It's 1.4. And it's got a older generation dual-core Mali 400 MP2. Which is not a bad chip. You can play all your games at 720p. There's no problems. It plays everything that you want to play. Dynasty. You got Eternity Warriors, Dark Avenger, Nova, all those. It'll play them just fine. Real Racing is okay. San Andreas, it'll play it. With the 1 gigabyte of RAM, kind of. This one right here had 2. It was a MTK 6589T, which is the 1.5 gigahertz turbo with a 400 megahertz SGX 544 MP4. Which is actually a really good chip, and that's why I like this one a lot versus this one. This one is a 6-inch, this one is a 5.7. So basically you can kind of say this is more like a Galaxy Mega. It's a decent phone. It was a real cheap one. It was only 140 bucks, and I need a new phone because this phone, the Latrix, you can definitely tell all the size comparison on these. If I can get my big old hand out of the way. If you look at the size comparison here, yeah, it pretty much, this is a 4-inch, this is nearly 6 inches. Yeah. And it's not quite as bad with this one. It's still noticeable, but not quite as noticeable. Yeah, I guess it is. This one is smaller than this one, the other one. So yeah. This Atrix is a dual-core Tegra 3, or Tegra 2. And it's not bad. 1 gig of RAM, 1.2 gigahertz Tegra 2, Atrix 4G, not a bad phone. It was a good flagship phone from 2011. Still a good phone to this day. If you want a cheap phone, you can get them online, unlocked for like 50, 60 bucks. They're 4G compliant, and with custom ROMs, you get 4G. You get 4G plus, not LTE, but 4G plus, which is slightly faster 4G. Basically, it just gives you more throughput and less ping, which doesn't really matter on a phone anyway. You get maybe half a second faster download rates, or slightly half a second faster video buffers, whatever, if you're really that about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the MTK architecture now. I'm going to actually be switching over to an MTK 6592, which is the octa-core version running at 1.7 to 2 gigahertz. I'm going to be getting a 2 gigahertz platform, and I need to go 8 cores, because I actually do a lot of emulations and stuff on phones. And with the wireless display on these two phones, and the one I'm using now, which is the Star N9000 Plus, that one right there actually does wireless display, which is kind of cool. It actually talks to my Samsung TV, and it'll actually show what I'm doing on my phone on my TV. So if I'm playing a game, I can actually stream it to the TV through my wireless, or aka even through Bluetooth, because it's got Bluetooth 3.1 EDR, so you can actually do it through Bluetooth, which is kind of neat. It is what it is. It's pretty cool, I guess, if you're one of those, media buffs like I am. So, the MTK 6592 is the octa-core version of these processors. It's got the same architecture. It's an ARM Cortex A7 Plus, which basically is a nullified A15. The A15 is found in 3 of the phones right now. You only can find it in the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, the Samsung Galaxy S4, and the Samsung Galaxy S5. There's three different chips available. You got the Exynos 5410, 5420, and the soon-to-be 5430. The 5420 is the chip that is all cores are enabled. You got 4 Cortex A7s and 4 Cortex A15s, all running in parallel. They all run together, and they all churn data. The cool thing about the Exynos, and I did like the Exynos because I have an Exynos phone as well, and it's a prototype, so I cannot show it, unfortunately. Nope. Sorry, don't ask me. I ain't showing. I'm not disclosing what it is, but it is a Exynos 5430, and it's a decent phone. It's really nice. It's a 2.4 gigahertz chip, and it's fast. So, the cool thing about those is they will actually disable the A15s if you're just using light work. The bad thing that Samsung had in previous iterations of it, were the fact that the software would disable the A15s and will keep them off. The cool thing is the A7s were so quick, they were able to actually, you wouldn't even notice it. Most people wouldn't even notice that. So they're, custom ROMs. You got custom ROMs now. You got different build prop, Dalvik changes. You even got EPM setting changes now. You can actually do EEPROM settings. I don't recommend people fucking with their EEPROMs on their phone, which is basically eMMC. You can change different settings. You can change allocation. You can actually change it to where it takes some of your SD card as a RAM or ROM. Don't do it, but you can if you want. I wouldn't recommend it. I leave them alone. For me, 1 gigabyte of phone storage is enough. Like this phone right here is capped at 1 gigabyte of phone storage, and it's got 8 gigabytes of. Actually, it's internal memory is 1 gigabyte. Internal ROM is 1 gigabyte. Phone storage is 8 gigabyte. That's fine for me. And actually, if I really want to be a dick, I can get my 16 gigabyte extreme speed SD card, which is a 64 megabits read and write, 64 megabit read and write SD card, micro SD card, and actually stick it in that phone, my Star N9000 Plus, and I'm thinking about doing it, and actually formatting it. Just going and reinstalling the firmware, formatting it, which what I will do is I'll probably clear my IMEI. My IMEI right now is stuck on invalid because the firmware I downloaded for it is from the same phone, but from a different model of the phone. What sucks is now I actually have to rewrite my whole IMEI. That's somewhere I'm going to come down to as well. A lot of people with the MTK phones, they have this habit of not backing up their ROMs. I was really sick when I was working on this phone. When I first got it, I was extremely sick. I I was just starting out at my job, Kroger, which is a multitasker. I do everything. I was just starting out there. I got really sick. I just broke up with my ex, and I was not okay. I was pretty much, everything in my head was just gone. And she fucked me up pretty bad. You know, she says I messed her up, whatever, you know, long story short, we're no longer together, and I could not be happier. I loved her to bits. I still care for her, but I ain't gonna lie, it's been peaceful, and it's just quiet. And I met a lot of cool people along the way, and oh god, I got all my old friends back, which is awesome. So anyway, moving on from that, the MTK 6582 and the 6589 are the current sweet spot cheap phones right now. If you are on a tight budget, I will recommend between the 6582 and the 6589, go with the 6589. The 6582 may have a higher CPU clock speed, but that 2-generation old Mali 400, no. It's not bad, but no. If you're doing basic, you know, if you're doing everything, you can do everything. You can game, you can do everything you want. But I want to say is because it's a Mali, you don't get true hardware acceleration. So when you're playing a video, sometimes you'll notice the video is kind of slow. And what that is because the Mali 400 lacks the extensions to actually Xcode videos. And what happens is when it does that, it's using the CPU, and when the CPU is doing other shit in the background, so aka the YouTube app, right? The YouTube app's really bad at this because it's the only app I've noticed that actually uses 3 of the 4 cores, which is kind of funny about that. So that 4th core is just sitting there doing la-di-da. If I can get the 4th core to respond, maybe the video would be better. I don't know. But no, the Mali 400, no. Now with the SGX 544, the YouTube app will only use 2 cores, but the SGX 544 will actually do all the video encoding itself and Xcoding itself. It does all the work for you. So the MTK 6589 is the one to go for the sweet spot phones. For the advanced phones in the MTK lineup, I'm going to recommend the 6589T, the 6592, and the 6592T. The 6592T is a 2 to 2.2 gigahertz octa-core. You can get the phones for roughly $250 to $300. The MTK 6592, you can get a phone for $190 to $225. I'm going to go with the MTK 6592, and I'm going with a Note 3 clone because I do really like the layouts of those octa-cores and the fact that it's scoring the same exact scores as the Samsung Exynos. Fuck yeah. I'm keeping my eyes on MTK because ever since the MTK 6570s, they've been really good. Yeah, they use the SGX 531 Extreme Turbo Graphics, which is basically as fast as maybe a 540, a standard 540, but not the 540 Advanced, but the original, which is 70 million triangles per clock, which isn't that bad. Whereas, you know, the Mali does 102, the SGX 544 does like 170 to 200. Yeah. The SGX 544, and then the Mali 450, which is basically just a hobbled version of the T601. That one actually does a T5 SGX 5 or Mali. It's a Mali 450. It's basically a Mali 600, pretty much. It's basically a crippled Mali 600 using older extensions, but it still does all the newer stuff. That one scores over 250 to 300 marks, and then the SGX 602 or the SGX 600, whatever. That one just came out, and that one scores 400 triangles per clock. That right there is a beast, but you cannot find any current generation phones that really have it except for one, and I think it's LG. And that phone is nice, but it's power hungry. I think a friend of mine's got it. It's got a quad-core 1.9 gigahertz Snapdragon Pro 2, which is using a Qualcomm version of the same chip. But anyway, I'm signing off. That's my phone chirping at me. It's time for me to get the fuck out of here and go to work. And I got a long day, and I'm off tomorrow and hopefully Sunday. And I'm gonna have to rewrite my IMEI. So YouTubers, signing out. Namaste.